What is happening, YouTube? A very, very random video for me today. We're going to be talking about my Twin Turbo R32 from start to where it is now, 5 years later, and still not finished. I don't know why I'm shouting, because the camera's over there and I just remembered the microphone is here. So anyway, yeah, let's get straight into this. Right, so the Twin Turbo is nearing completion right about now, and I've been doing a lot of posts about it lately. It's gone from being in the background. To be fair, it's gone from being the main focus on my Instagram to being irrelevant to making a little bit of a comeback. And we're going to get into that in the video as to why that is the way it is. So where do I start? Like I said, I'm going to have to start from the beginning. This is a bit difficult because I'm going to be talking. I'm literally sat here on my own. Actually, tell a lie, Hugo's over there. But I'm sat here talking to the camera, trying to remember things about this car or this setup. But obviously, while I'm doing the video, when you guys are watching the videos, pictures are going to be popping up and stuff like that. So it's very, very complicated. But anyway, I've got my phone. I've got some pictures. So if you see me reverting back to my phone, that is why I'm getting some help from my phone. So anyway, this setup, this situation, this thing here isn't actually how it started. Back in, 1 minute, exactly, I'll tell you, because I've got a picture which you're going to see as well right about now. Back in 2017, the 6th of October is when I bought the original Twin Turbo R32. Now, I remember the day briefly because lots has gone on since then, but I do remember having to get the money together in order to get this car. Now, I remember it popping up on Facebook, Twin Turbo R32. I think there was a picture of it at Santa Pod doing a burnout. I was in Halifax. Well, no, I wasn't in Halifax. I was in West Yorkshire at the time anyway. And the car, from memory, was in Banbury or Milton Keynes. I'm going to say Banbury because yeah, it was in Banbury, I'm pretty sure. I remember actually having to get a lift off my mum to go and get the car. So anyway, yeah, car came up on Facebook, got in contact with the guy who owned it and who actually built it. Said, you know, I'm interested, got the money together, went and collected it, and had a conversation with the guy. Seemed like a genuine guy. He told me a lot about the car. Now, at this time, I wasn't really very knowledgeable about the R32 turbos. This, at this point, was my first R32 with a turbo. And prior to that, I still wasn't that clued up on the R32s anyway. I think I'd only been, at that time, maybe messing around with R32s or Mark IV Golfs for around 2 or 3 years. So yeah, it was really, really new to me. So anyway, got there, the car was, as it was described, it was not actually an R32, which people may or may not remember if you follow my Instagram. It was actually a Mark IV Golf that was previously front wheel drive, and somewhere down the line someone had welded in the 4Motion floor to make it a 4Motion. It was painted in some sort of blue. From memory, it wasn't an R32 blue. I can't remember. I want to say it was a Ford blue. I think it was the Ford Focus blue. I can't remember. Maybe I'll find a picture or name of the colour. I doubt I will, but if I do, there'll be a picture right now. But yeah, anyway, colour aside, the car was as it was described. There wasn't much I could look over. You know, you pop the bonnet, there was an R32 engine, there was 2 turbos, it started, it drove, sent the money, job done. So this was on a Monday from memory. And I remember, like I said, I got dropped off, picked the car up, and I drove to the Midlands, picked up my brother, and then we drove it back up north to West Yorkshire. Now, This was, no, sorry, this was a Friday actually. I'll tell you why it was a Friday. So I picked the car, so this is where it gets into a bit of a Craig David song. So I picked the car up on Friday. On Saturday I drove it around a little bit, which again, I'll insert some videos here. And on Sunday, I actually took the car to Santa Pod. Now, I had never done anything like this in my life. Someone had messaged me and said, oh, Santa Pod's on, they're doing this, that and the other. Do you want to come? So I did. Me and my brother, we took the Twin Turbo, we drove it to, I think it's in Northampton, isn't it? Thereabouts. Drove it there and yeah, did a few runs. I think maybe 2, maybe even 3 actually. If you've been to Santa Pod before on a busy day, it's really hard to get round. And yeah, the car did all right. It didn't break any records. I think it was sold to me being 500 HP, but it had never been dynoed and it had been like road mapped and stuff like that. So yeah, so that was it. Friday picked it up, Saturday drove it a little bit locally, and then on the Sunday took it to Santa Pod. While I was down there, dropped my brother off, drove the car back home. On Monday, now this is, 3 days after getting the car, I decided to start looking around the car. Now I think at this point I was into breaking cars and dismantling cars, so I had a bit of a name for that already. But like I said, I was no mechanic, and this was again, my first experience with a R32 turbo. So yeah, started looking around at things, and I just started noticing the little things. The biggest thing that was annoying me and putting me off the car was the fact it wasn't an R32. So, as I mentioned, it was a front-wheel drive car with a 4-motion rear end welded to it. And I say rear end, the underside. If you're watching in America, you guys do this quite a lot. You drill out the spot welds and then you put the floor pan in, because I'm assuming the 4-motion over there is quite hard to get, whereas in the UK, picking up a 4-motion is very, very easy. You can pick one up for 800 quid. So that was annoying me. Anyway, started looking over the car and I started to notice a lot of things wrong with it. Like I said, I was still, at this time I wasn't clued up with turbos. It had no actual proper wastegate. It was integrated and it had this spring on it. It was home built. I will say it was home built, and the guy that built it, when he sold me, he did say that, to be honest. He did say, I've built this myself. It never had no fancy turbo manifold. It was literally the R32 standard manifolds, flips upside down and kind of like shaped to fit the turbos. It was absolutely mad. I think I've got some pictures, so I'll put them up on the screen. And yeah, started noticing a few things. Wiring was dodgy. Bolts were missing out of the gearbox. There was a massive oil leak, which... not massive, that's an exaggeration. There was a pretty big oil leak coming from the oil return, and when I took it apart, it turned out it was had no, not sealant, gasket. It had no gasket on it, so just bits and bobs. So anyway, I ended up taking the engine out of the car. Took the engine out of the car, and I ended up selling the shell. Now, what I was planning on doing is just going and getting a 4-motion shell, which I did. I found one, a grey one. Completely standard from memory, or I think it had some wheels on it, I can't remember. Stripped it out because I was going for the race car vibe. Stripped it out. All I wanted was 2 bucket seats, a steering wheel, and the engine. That's all I wanted, basically. That's all I wanted in the car. I wanted a twin turbo with 2 bucket seats, the R32 kit on it, and that was the whole plan. So anyway, let me revert back to my phone now. So we are talking now I've got a picture here of me stripping it. Like I said, it was literally on the Monday, I think. Yeah. Might have been actually, tell a lie. It might have been, no, it was taken off the road on the Monday, but I didn't start stripping it until like the 16th of October. So 10 days after I'd got it, I started taking it apart. And yeah, was left with the engine. I ended up selling that shell to someone. I'm not too sure if it's still out there, could be. And yeah, got this grey R32 shell. At this point, I was heavily following Dan Underwood's Mark IV Golf build, where he had a ABW wide arch kit, the one that's on the car now, which we will get into. And I bought a similar kit, tried to fit it myself, and yeah, it just didn't fit. And here's a picture of it, of me trying to attempt to do this kit. So yeah, I had loads of problems with that kit, trying to fit it to this R32 shell. I put the engine in it and decided to rewire the car myself, because the wiring was shocking on the car that I got. It was on AEM Infinity, and I think it had a plug and play harness. I decided to do away with this harness and learn how to rewire the whole engine, and this is pretty much where the wiring side of things came from on my behalf. And I'm not amazing at it, but I'm okay. I can work things out now. So yeah, anyway, that happened, and then there was something up with the shell. I think I pulled the carpet out, and you know, I was very, very far into it at this point. I'd put the ABW kit on it, the R32 of the original blue car. I think I sourced the back one, and like I said, I'd rewired loads and loads of things, and then yeah, I think it turned out to be rotten. I think there was a big hole where the seat went. So like I said, in the UK these shells are quite easy to get, so I ended up getting rid of that. And around the same time when I found the hole in the floor, I was offered one of my R32s back. Now this was a silver R32 that I'd resprayed in the same very rare grey that the 4Motion shell was in that I'd bought. So I'd built this car a few years prior, sold to someone in the Isle of Wight, always wanted it back, and they messaged me like, do you want to buy your car back? And I was like, you know what, this is very, very good timing, because I've got a twin turbo engine here, I want it in an R32 shell. Boom, makes sense. Anyway, went over to the Isle of Wight, I must have got the train, and drove my R32 back. Now, we are getting on to, let's have a little look in the pictures from memory. So I've got a picture of that R32 complete in January, just like a complete, when I picked it up basically. January the 27th, 2018. So not much longer after getting the twin turbo anyway, I think. So yeah, set about taking that engine out. Again, I'll post some of these pictures up that I've got that I can see on my phone. Again, try to fit that ABW body kit now. These are made out, it's made out of fiberglass. Like I said, I'll get into this one later on, because this is the original, this is the first kit that was made by ABW for the R32, so it fits like a glove. So yeah, so again, got onto the wiring, tried to get it fired up. I think I did get it started. I got the ABW kit.
Didn't get that. Could you try again?
All right, sorry. I got the ABW kit to fit somewhere decent. Set about upgrading a few bits like the fueling, and yeah, I got it somewhere near. And then, from memory, That R32 shell turned out to be rotten as well. I think the shell was outside for a little while, not very long. And I remember the side skirt starting to come off. And then I just pulled at it and it fell off. And the whole of the sill was rotten. The door card was out, so I looked down into, you know, the speaker area. And I would advise people to do this if you've got an R32. Take the rear door card off if you've got a 3-door. Not sure how it would work if you've got a 5-door, but anyway, if you've got a 3-door, take the rear door card off, take the bit of foam out, and look behind and look down at your sill and see what condition it is, because without pulling off the side skirt, you're not really going to be able to see it. And they're a pain to get back on because they're bonded. So yeah, found out that that was rotten, and obviously further down the line, knowing what I know now, the sills are not really hard work. I didn't know you could just go and buy a sill off eBay for like 80 quid and have it welded in. I didn't know any welders at this point. So yeah, for me it felt very, very complicated. So anyway, I decided to do away with that shell. So what are we on now? We're on shell number 3. The blue one, which was the original shell, the grey 4Motion, and then the grey R32, silver / grey R32. Now that R32 was actually a write-off previously, that I'd saved that car basically from being scrapped because it was low mileage, and I rebuilt it from a shell, and shell and engine. Wiring loom was cut and all sorts. Rebuilt it, had it resprayed in that grey. And like I said, it was a write-off previously, and I just didn't want to spend any more money on it with it being a write-off and the wrong colour. So got rid of that shell, and then was on the lookout for another one. Then I found a red Mark IV Golf 2.8 V6 4Motion. Now, the first picture I've got of that was just a picture of the engine, and then we're talking June 2018. So not very long after giving up on the grey one, really. Again, took the engine out, put the twin turbo in. This time I wasn't going for the ABW kit. I ended up getting some SRS wings and went with a different kind of look. I think I was going for a bit of a sleeper look, but again I was going for stripped out, 2 bucket seats, the steering wheel and the engine. That's all I wanted, but I wanted it to look like an R32. So that, like I said, that shell, what's that, shell number 4 now? So blue, grey, grey, red. So shell number 4. Now, in the back of my mind, as happy as I was with it, wasn't finished. I was upgrading stuff, you know, doing things to it. I wasn't happy because it wasn't an R32 shell. This is just me being mad, and these are the silly little things that have got me to the point where I am now. And some of it's good and some of it's bad, because I waste a lot of money on chasing my thoughts and ideas. You know, and like I said, it's paid off in some ways, but it's been bad in other ways, because I can't exactly remember how much I paid for the twin turbo, but it was a lot of money. You know, for me at that time anyway, and still a lot of money in general. And I'd bought 3 other cars since then. So, you know, the R32 that I bought back from the Isle of Wight, that was thousands of pounds. The red 2.8 was a lot of money because that was a complete good condition car. And I think I paid quite a bit of money for the grey 4Motion shell as well. So I'm a lot of money into this now. So, you know, it was getting a bit out of hand. And then moving on to November 2018, a red R32 came up for sale. 5-door air ride. Again, I will put a picture up on here. And yeah, obviously, again, my imagination run wild. I went and bought it. Stripped all the, you know, the air ride and the wheels off it, took the engine out, sold the engine, and set about putting the twin turbo into it. So again, I'll put some pictures up of the twin turbo in the the R32 shell. The next picture I've got of me picking up the R32 was November 2018. Then the picture in January 2019 was the twin turbo in the R32 shell. So obviously at this point I'd sold all the bits off it and blah 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 blah. I can't really remember what was going on in between then. I think I tried to sell the engine a couple of times. I think I'd just given up a couple of times and wanted to see if anyone wanted the engine. Fortunately or unfortunately they didn't, so I ended up keeping it because obviously the engine owed me a lot of money. I think out of the original twin turbo that I'd bought, the only thing I had left was the engine and I think the ECU. So one second, Hugo's doing laps of the unit. I think he needs a toilet, so give me a sec. Right, that's Hugo sorted. So where was I? Yeah, so a lot had happened in between. I think I tried selling it. I think I ended up leaving my job, and this is when I first got my own unit. So yeah, the car was kind of put on hold. The project car, whatever you want to call it, was put on hold, and yeah, it was kind of not really any interest in it was of no interest to me, is what I was trying to say. I had other projects going on in between there as well. I do remember having a TT that I put an R32 engine into, tried to make that into a show car and got rid of that. So yeah, there was things going on in between. Going through my phone now, there's a picture of me. I think this is when I decided to get cracking again with it. So I was in my unit, not this one, a different one. This was my first unit at the time. So 26th of June 2019, it looks like I brought the R32 twin turbo down to my unit and basically got my mojo back with it. Looks like I was messing about with it, and in July I sent the engine off in the 5-door shell to have a custom manifold made, downpipe, and basically just have the whole thing redone. I can't remember if at this point it was the same engine from the original car. I think it was. So it was actually a BUB, which is another thing that annoyed me because
I didn't catch that.
What is going on with Siri? Yeah, it was another thing that annoyed me because obviously the Mark IV is a BFH engine and it's got a 4 crank from standard. So this was a BUB which had a cast crank, and I later found out that obviously it can hold more power and blah blah blah. So yeah, sent the car off to ZK Fabrications, who had the car engine set up for a little while, made me a manifold, absolutely beautiful manifold for the twin turbo setup. External wastegates, I think I bought them wastegates from Stacey from Pro Engineering, which I don't think that company existed then. I might be wrong, but yeah, that's where I got them from. And yeah, external wastegated, custom downpipes, beautiful bit of work. I'm obviously going to be putting pictures up as I'm talking. I'm just going to be going through them now on my phone, and yeah, absolutely sick work. So I think that was completed. It looks like the car was back with me in 2019 August is the next picture I got. So I got a picture from ZK, yeah, 1st of August, and the car's back with me 9th of August. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. So the car came back, and in my head I was sending the car off, and when it comes back it would be a simple case of this, that and the other. This car's now ready to hit the roads again. You know, we're talking 2 years, nearly 3 years I think, of the car being off the road. You know, since buying it I'd driven it 3 times, or over the course of 3 days, driving it back on the Friday, driving it around on Saturday, and then centre pad on Sunday, and that was it. So, you know, I felt like it was time. this was my first experience with a fabricator and having something done to that extreme. It cost me thousands of pounds. It came back and it was incomplete. Don't get me wrong, the intake manifold was done, the downpipe was done, external wastegates were done. I don't know what I was expecting. Obviously, you got yeah, that was it. Nothing worked, and none of the previous setup worked anymore. So the oil return had been moved. So where the turbos, the oil returns, sorry, were lining up, they didn't work anymore. So it wasn't a case of it coming back and me just bolting it up. And there hadn't been any other, anything made to help assist with that. So it came back and I was just like, right, okay, what do I do here? Again, this is all still new to me. So, I was quite frustrated with that, I'm not going to lie, because it was a case of then I had to chase up, you know what, I might stop saying their name because it might sound like I'm slagging them off. So yeah, I don't know. So that company, let's just go with that company. So if I do decide to bleep it out, I don't have to keep bleeping it. So anyway, it was a case of me then chasing that company who worked alone and was clearly busy to finish it. I needed him to do the work to get this finished, and I can't remember what was happening, but I think it kept getting put back and back and back to the point where once again I gave up on it. I thought, I just can't be bothered, so I decided to try and sell it again. I think I don't think anyone wanted it, so again I ended up keeping it. One massive problem at that time, which isn't really a massive problem now because I've learned since then what you can do to get around that. I was going for the simple bay look, so I deleted everything out of the engine bay, coolant bottle, washer bottle, the lot. There was none of that in there, which actually was in the original car when I first got it. And I deleted the servo and the master cylinder and put a chase bay's servo delete in there. And I thought, that was a cool thing to do because that's what you do when you're trying to, I'm still at this point in my show car era, wanting to do show car, fast car type thing, not really knowing what, just a confused guy basically, wanting to do everything and have everything in one sitting. It's just about to rain and it sounds horrible in here when it rains. Hopefully you can still hear me anyway. So yeah, so when I sent the car off to have the manifolds made, it was made around the fact that it never had a servo or a master cylinder. So when I was trying to sell the engine, it wasn't as simple as, oh, buy this twin turbo setup, it'll just drop into your shell. You would have needed to delete your servo and redo your brake lines as well. So that was another thing. I needed to have brake lines done and I didn't know anyone at the time to do it. So, things are just getting out of control now. Again, like I said, I tried to sell it. I think in between that, I built another car. I remember rebuilding a red R32 and driving to France in it. Again, I saved that car actually from being broken and it's just in a horrible state. Used to be a famous show car. So yeah, got that car, rebuilt that car, drove it to France and back for VW days. And yeah, so anyway, what happened next? Oh, that brings us on to this shell. So I know this video is going to be long. I'm trying to cram 5 years of events into 20 minutes, 25 minutes, which is probably going to be longer, but for anyone that's interested, you'll keep watching. So yeah, this current shell, which I will put a picture up of how it looked when it came or how it looked in its previous life. So this shell was actually a show car built by, I'm not going to say his name actually because we're going to get into something a little bit later, but yeah, it's built by someone. It was had loads of work, thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds spent on it, full smoothed bay, like what I wanted, so like completely smoothed, everything welded over. Amazing. Fancy interior, the lot. And yeah, I bought that. It'd been sat for years at this company's place, and I ended up buying it. Person was selling it. I ended up buying it for a lot of money. it never worked. The engine had never been refitted since the smoothed base, so the wiring wasn't done, and so on and so on. So anyway, I bought the car, sold the engine, the R32 engine that came with it but not in it, and set about putting a twin turbo in it, which is what I did. So I put the twin turbo engine in it and found my love for it again. I thought, you know what, this is the shell that I want this car to go in. This is the car I want this engine to go in. It was perfect. It had been repainted, thousands of pounds spent on a repaint, and never seen the road, so it was mint. So anyway, yeah, put the engine in and set about trying to do the rewiring and working out what I needed. Again, trying to make things better where needed. And then I can't remember what happened actually, why I ended up taking that engine out. I think I hit a brick wall with it, but I think I was having trouble getting the engine and the car back to the company that did the manifold to have the water lines and stuff done. So yeah, anyway, I ended up putting a single turbo engine into that shell. I managed to pick up a relatively good priced R32 with a turbo that had just been built, just been mapped, and I decided to buy that, put the engine turbo setup in that shell, and I thought, you know, it was a big turbo, it was all mapped up, ready to go. I thought, pull that out, put it in this, boom, job done. You know, how hard can it be? And I think that was one of my first videos on YouTube. If you go back, I think there's a video of it somewhere of me doing that. So anyway, yeah, put this engine in, again, set about rewiring it, got it running, and then, hello Hugo. This is Hugo. Hugo's hungry, so this is his way of telling me that he's hungry, so we might have to start the video, or you might have to just wait 10 minutes, mate. You might have to just wait. No? Yeah, you have to wait. Right, get down. Get down. And sit down, go on. Go on, and sit down. Go on your mat. Right, so, yeah, anyway, put that engine in, I don't know, tried to start it, I got it started. I don't know why I ended up taking that engine back out, but I did. I sold the turbo kit and ended up keeping the engine because the engine was fully built, and that is actually the engine that is now on the twin turbo. So at this time, the only thing that I've got had left of the original twin turbo when I first got it was the two turbos, a bit of pipe work, and the intake manifold, which was custom made as well. So yeah, fast forward a little bit, managed to get hold of the company and I think it was hold of actually. Managed to get hold of the company that did the manifold, and you know, we spoke, and the car got sent back off to be finished, to get the water lines done, the oil return, the oil feed, all of that stuff done. You know, he built it, so it was right that it went back to them. I did try another company in the meantime, never worked out. So yeah, it ended up getting done. It came back, and what I asked to be done wasn't done. Some of it was done, some of it wasn't. And at this point, again, I was getting absolutely frustrated. So the car sat around for a little while. I think the last picture I've got of that car of that work being done. We're on like March 2021 now. There's actually a picture which I'll post, pretty sick picture, of the car getting loaded up onto the back of the recovery truck actually to go and get the work done from the company. Actually, yeah, that makes sense now. So I think that was the last bit of work, the pipe work for the turbos to go to the intercooler, and then from the new intake, because I changed the intake at this point for a P Motorsports intake, beautiful bit of kit. So I needed pipe work going from that to the intercooler. So yeah, I think that was getting sent back for the third or even the fourth time to be finished. And then when it came back, let me try and switch this up now because it seems to have changed. So yeah, I think there's a few videos missing, a few pictures missing. But anyway, the company did all the work. Finally, 2 or 3 years later, the work got done, and it got to the point where I could turn the key of the car and it started up for the first time. Now at this point, I think I changed from AEM to EMU black and learned how to wire that up and managed to get it started, but I never had anyone to map it or put a map on it. So yeah, then I was struggling with that. Long story short, I ended up, I don't know what happened. I'm not really sure what happened. I think I just ended up getting frustrated, and at the time I was starting up my raffle company. And yeah, I think I just needed the money and I didn't need the stress of this car. So I think I raffled the car off, and I want to say I think the last time I added it up at that point, before I raffled it off, I was about 40 grand into this car. Yeah, 40 grand into the car, which is easily done when you think about all the shells that I've had. Buying this shell, you know, this cost me thousands of pounds, and even though I made a little bit of money off selling some of the bits, I was still thousands of pounds into it. Having the manifolds made, the other cars and the original car, brake setups, I'm not even going to get into that. I had over on some brakes getting refurbished and everything. So yeah, I was just frustrated, man, and I thought, you know, I raffled it off, and I think I ended up getting about 8 grand back for it, and it wasn't even about the money at this point. I just wanted it gone. It wasn't massively about the money. Obviously the 8 grand helped because it was 8 grand in my bank rather than money sat in a car that I couldn't get anything back for. So yeah, I ended up raffling it off. I think I've got a picture here actually of the day, so I can get the date of when that car went. So yeah, so August 2021 is the day that I did the draw for the R32 Twin Turbo, and someone won it. A girl won it. I can't remember her name, but a girl won it and gave it to her. It was for her boyfriend. So, you know, I delivered the car. Obviously, it didn't work. So it was I raffled it as a project. So it got delivered down south, way down south, somewhere like, I don't even know, but way 4, 5, 6 hours away. Lad got it, and yeah. Long story short, he set about I think he wanted to make it into a road car. So I think he started putting the interior back in. I didn't follow it too much because I didn't really want to. I wanted to just detach myself from it. So yeah, he set about doing that. You know, obviously when he won it, I told him it did need remapping, it needed this, it wasn't ready, basically. Anyway, long story short, he wanted to register the car, and I don't think I gave him my logbook at the time. I did have a logbook from when I bought the shell, but for some reason I hadn't given the logbook or any paperwork that I've got with it. So, long story short, he tried to register the car in his name, and it turned out the car was a write-off. Unbeknown to me, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have spent all this money on it. The car was a write-off. Now, I was obviously gutted. He was gutted. I contacted the guy that I bought the car from. This is why I didn't mention his name. He just denied that he knew anything about it. So it was left to me, really. Now, obviously, I'd raffled this car off. I could have said, so what, you won it for a tenner. You've still got thousands of pounds in parts. And to be fair, I think he did mention the fact that he was going to break it. And, you know, I think I got a bit like, ooh, I wouldn't like to see it get broke. But at the same time, if it's getting broke, people are going to ask why it's getting broke. And until this video, I haven't actually told anyone that this car is a write-off. So, yeah, it's a write-off. So, anyway, I spoke to him. And when he won the car, he did get a few £1,000s with the car as well. I can't remember if it was 1,000 or 3. I've got 3 in my head for some reason, but it might have been 1,000, let's just say, I don't know. But yeah, he got some money with the car to help finish it off. And we did a bit of a deal where I said, look, you know, I want to put this right. I'm a straight down the line guy. I'm not getting anywhere with the guy who I bought the shell off. He's denying it, even though there turned out to be some paperwork in the paperwork that came with the car of a police report of the car being crashed into. So, you know, he put blame on someone else. And to be fair, we've still not got to the bottom of it because, yeah, just ain't got to the bottom of it. So I just said, look, at the time I had a blue R32 that I'd raffled off and the winner had took the cash alternative. So I said, look, I've got this car, this R32, it's in decent condition, it's worth, you know, it must be worth 12 grand or so. I said, I'll give you this car and some money as well. And I think that's where the 3 grand came from, actually. So he got some money when he won the car, and then when I bought it back, I gave him some money as well. He thought about it, come back to me and said, you know what, yeah, cool, I'll do that. So remember, I raffled the car off and I only got 8 grand back. I was 40 odd grand into the car. Now I'm about to buy the car back for 15 grand basically. So again, I'm even more into the car at this point now. Yeah, silly, but the way I saw it is, yeah, it's going to cost me 15 grand to get it back, or see it. Not sure what happened there, but the camera cut off. But yeah, the car's back with me at this point after spending another 15 grand to get it back after someone had won it. I'm just trying to look back through the pictures to see the next stage of when I actually got it back. So I actually, funny enough, actually, I tried to document getting the car back for YouTube. So I found out that you could record on your phone and it come out in really good quality on YouTube, and I didn't realise you had to do it in landscape. So I did it in portrait. Annoyingly, I planned it for ages. I made it a big thing as well. I kept it a secret. I didn't tell anyone that I got the car back. At this time, I was building another car as well, so I didn't even want this car back. I just felt the need to get it back, and I did. So yeah, the car's come back. I kept it a secret, tried to document it, and it flopped. But I did actually put the videos up on Instagram as reels. So if you're on Instagram, anton.levelup, go and check my Instagram, check my reels, and you will see when the car comes back and me getting it started for the first time, like properly, since the day that I first got the car, or the build or whatever, and getting it running, getting it mapped, stripping, having to get the engine out, take the turbos off and manifolds, and fixing loads. It's really worth going back and having a look. I think they're only 10-minute clips on Instagram, so go and check them out, but they'll make much more sense. So yeah, I got the car back on this year, 31st of May this year. As it went, basically, I think the winner of the car had put the glass back in, because I sent it with no glass, I think. It gave me a dash with it and did he give me some door cards? I don't know. I think he offered to give me a load of bits of it, but I was not interested in trying to make this into a road car. So, you know, I politely declined those parts. But yeah, it came back to me. I set about stripping it down and finding out, because the winner was saying that it was running wrong as well, which I knew anyway, because, no, sorry, this was the story. So he took it to get mapped, and the mapper said that the wiring for the coil packs was wrong. So when it came back, I was like, that could be true, because I'm the one that's rewired it. So I set about checking over the wiring. This is something that I documented on my reels as well, and everything was fine. All the wiring was fine, but it did make me a bit paranoid. So I changed the wiring. I just put a standard R32 loom in there, modified it to work, and got the car started. Then I got it mapped by a chap called Nick. I think he's in Greece. So he remotely mapped it, and the car now starts pretty much first time, and it's on like a base map for this setup with the injectors and stuff like that. I'm as close as I've ever been to this being finished and getting back out there for a little drive on a track or on a strip or something, just anywhere basically, just getting in it. I have actually drove it on private land. Recently had some work done to the exhaust, and I drove it from like all around the industrial estate basically, and it felt good. Don't get me wrong, it's not done obviously, the wiring he's doing and stuff, but yeah, it's as close as it's ever been. So at the time when this car come back, I actually managed to, at some point prior to that, buy Dan Underwood's car, who I said earlier in the other video, whose car I had been following, and I tried to replicate it to some degree in terms of the body kit. So I had that car to hand, and that came to me with, did it have the engine in? I don't know, it didn't run anyway. I think he blew the engine up and was putting a turbo engine in it, but it never finished it. So I bought it, got it running, took it on the track, and then I was going to do some other stuff with it, but decided to strip it for various reasons. And I kept the kit off it. And again, this is something that I documented on the reels. If you go back on Instagram and have a look. And yeah, so this is the original first one-of-one ABW arch kits for the R32, and it fits like a glove. These are the wings off Dan's car as well. The rear wing is off his car. So basically the body kit, I think even the front bumper is as well. The front bumper, the rear bumper, the wings, the side skirt things. I've got a flat floor for it off that car as well. I think that's it. Yeah, obviously painted it from black to blue. And yeah, even these. So cheers, Dan. But yeah, that's the situation in the car now, the way it's looking, the way it is now. I think this is going to be the final shell that it's going to be in. And yeah, like I said, man, let's have a look through these clips and see what journey I had to go on with this car. I think that's pretty much it, you know. I think that's pretty much it to get it to where it is now. I think this is the sixth shell. So there was the original blue one, there was the grey 4Motion, there was the grey R32, there was the red 4Motion, there was the red R32, and then there was this. So yeah, this is the sixth shell. The only thing that's left of that original build is the turbos. the turbos. There's nothing left of that original build. Yeah, mad. It's mad. It's mad that it's here. It's mad that it's getting near completion. It's still costing me money, and I still don't even know what I'm going to do with it. What the purpose of it is. You know, I've built it with the track-inspired theme. Will I take it on track? I don't know. Will it be good on track? I don't know. I mean, I've got a Club Sport that I've took on a couple of track days. I've took it to the Nürburgring, and that's an amazing car. So it's got a lot to live up to. But yeah, I've got some plans for it. It's booked in to have, funny enough, I had a message today asking to postpone that, but this was meant to be booked in to get rewired properly, like a motorsport harness, in February. So we're currently in November 2022. In February 2023, this is booked in to get the wiring redone, and I've seen the work that he's done in person. and it's amazing. But like I said, he has just messaged me asking me if he can postpone it, so God knows when that's going to be done. I think in the meantime I'm just going to have to budget up a bit more, because I have actually bodged it to get it running with the intentions of thinking, well, it doesn't really matter because it's going to get redone professionally. So I think I'm going to tidy it up a bit more personally, yeah, I want to have a cage made for it. I'm going to get it mapped properly because it's just a base map for now. So yeah, the wiring, a cage, and I think I'm going to be done. I think not really much. Oh, fueling. I need to redo the fuel lines, some full-on braided fuel lines. As you can probably see, or you've seen on the video already, that the fuel line's a bit dodgy because it's just the OEM one. But yeah, man, so that is the story of the Twin Turbo. I've missed loads out. I've missed loads of drama out. The video's gone on for ages. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. I have got some things planned. I actually already have a video that I've made with this, having the exhaust modified to make it a little bit louder and sound a bit more like an R32, but I didn't really want to release that until I'd done this, because I always had this in my mind and wanting to do this. So I've done it now. I've sat down, I've told you the story, and now when anyone asks me about the R32, I can send them this link and say, go and watch this when you've got an hour of your life to waste. But no, guys, listen, thank you for watching. I hope you stayed to the end. I'm sure there'll be a few people that are interested in the car that I have. Join me for the rest of the journey. Like I said, go and check my Instagram out, Level Up, Anton Level Up. And you can see the reels, and you can see the past of this car as well. There's loads of pictures. Hugo's hungry. I haven't fed him yet because it's still the same day from part one. I don't even know if I'm going to split this into parts, but anyway, sit down. Sit down. All right, go away. Go and sit on your mat. Go on your mat. Go on your mat. Go on. Right, so yeah, I'm definitely going to leave it there now, so I need to go and feed the dog. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, go and check out the rebuild I'm doing on another R32, which you can buy a ticket for and basically donate to help towards building the car, and then at the end of it, you're going to win it. Someone's going to win it, sorry. And yeah, I'm hopefully going to be bringing out more videos and keeping up with the YouTube stuff. So thank you again for watching. Go and subscribe. Go and follow me on Instagram. Follow the competitions as well, Level Up giveaways. I'll put links to them all in the descriptions. But yeah, until next time, see you all later. Bye-bye.